What's up, YouTube? It's Miss Alamo RN back with another video. So this video is basically about my experience with homeschool. And this is something that I'm extremely passionate about. My current home life does not allow for me to do it as much as I used to. So my husband has taken over that role of being the primary homeschooling parent in our home. However, I wanted to share what our experience has been with those of you who might be interested in this lifestyle, or for those of you who may be struggling with our current COVID-19 situations who have forced all of us into homeschooling situations. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Okay, so homeschool. How do we get into it? We have been homeschoolers for the past, let's see, my oldest is 18 and we started homeschooling when she was in the 5th grade. So you do the math. So it's been a while and we have hit bumps in the road. Initially when we started, you know, I am very much a nurse. I am not an educator and I think so highly of our teachers, and I wish that we took better care of them. I wish that we paid them better. I wish that they had, you know, the value from the monetary value and also the value from the community that they deserve, because I feel like that they are not given what they deserve for all that they put in to make sure our children are educated, because being a teacher is a hard job. It is not for the meek. Okay, so we got into it because when we moved from Chicago to Florida, we noticed that the school systems were extremely different. And, you know, my daughters would come home, more so at the time, my oldest, because she was in 4th grade at the time. And she would come home and I'd ask her about her day, because we are very much those parents who are extremely involved. And what did you do today? And how did it go? What did you learn? Talk me through it and what was it about? And show me examples of what it was that you learned. And she repetitiously gave me feedback as of, Mom, well today, because we already did this stuff back before at our old school, I helped the teacher to help the other kids to understand what we were learning. And I'm like, okay, so my kid is not going to school to be the teacher's assistant, clearly, so there's a problem here. So it forced me to start to look into different avenues. Number one, she was bored, and I'm talking about a student who is learning comes natural for her, never has to study, just is so fluent in anything that you put in front of her. It just wasn't the same motivation that she had when we were living in Chicago previously. And we were in the suburbs of Chicago, not the inner city, so amazing school systems. So I started kind of doing my own kind of deep dive on homeschool, what it looked like, you know, picking the minds of some other neighbors of mine that homeschooled at the time to see if it was something that we could benefit from. And at the time, my career, because I was working 3 days out of the week, it allowed me to be home a lot more so than I am now. And so it made me available to be there, to be able to be the primary educator in my home. So fast forward, we made a decision that we would go ahead and homeschool. How did I start off? YouTube. YouTube is a huge resource for anyone who's looking to do anything, right? I always tell people, you can learn how to do brain surgery on YouTube. Like, seriously, you can learn anything. So shout out to all the amazing homeschool moms who helped me to build my foundation in homeschool. And so again, we decided, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. We pulled our daughter out, both of our daughters actually. We had one in 4th grade, 5th grade, and one in 1st grade. Kindergarten for me was a must, because I was like, I am not teaching children how to read. Like, I need you to come home and already know how to do that, because I just don't feel like that's something that I have the patience to do, because it's a lot of work to get your kids to learn how to read. So we that was like our hard stop, kindergarten, and then we go ahead and do the homeschool thing. So I started off by just looking at my state's bylaws and the requirements to be a homeschooler, and it varies from state to state. So you really need to make sure that you are very well versed in understanding what your particular state requires. So we did that. I made a whole binder of just resources. I YouTubed and YouTubed and YouTubed until I couldn't YouTube anymore, just to make sure that I had a thorough understanding as to what I was getting myself into. And I must say, as prepared as I made myself, it was still extremely difficult because it's a workflow. It's establishing what it looks like for your home. Initially, I thought it had to look like school, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. We did a video program. The curriculum that we used had a visual, it was like a video that you popped in and they taught all day. And I was like, oh my God, this is too much. My little first grader was literally learning nonstop outside of lunch from, 8:30 a.m. until literally 4 o'clock. It was way too intense. So we went back to the drawing board. We figured out, okay, you know what? This isn't working. So a year and a half later, we changed up the curriculum, and I was overwhelmed because I was working night shift, and I was just like, I can't, like, this is too much. And it was just me exclusively doing it at that time. So I told my husband, I can't do this. I'm done. Let's put him back in school. So we did it for 2 years, and then we ended up putting our girls back in school. We put them back in school. To be honest with you, I question myself all the time. Are we doing enough? I'm not a teacher. Do I know that they know what they know? Like, how do I know? Like, I just really didn't know that I was giving my children everything that they needed. End of your year, our district in Florida required us to either have them do a standardized test or to meet with a evaluator. Come into my first evaluation, and I had this like huge crate with all of my girls' things that they had been working on. And I was sweating. I don't even sweat. And I was like literally sweating. I was sweating on my pits, sweating on my back, like everywhere you could sweat, I was sweating. And she's like, calm down, like everything is okay. This is gonna be super easy. I am not here to grill you. I can tell by what you've brought that you are doing what you need to do by your children. So I calmed down, and she asked them a few questions, went through some of their work, and established that they were good and they were getting exactly what it was that they needed. And so it built my confidence. I would work 12-hour night shifts, come home, and still try to teach my kids, be extremely frustrated, and find myself crying, yelling, screaming, and my poor kids would be looking at me like, what is wrong with this woman? And I'm like, I can't do this. So that is what led to me putting them back in school. And then a year and a half after we put them back in school, I was like, no, I can't do this. Like, we were back in the hamster wheel of the education system was not what we were used to. And the kids would come home saying that what they were learning were things that they already learned a year ago. So my husband and I made a decision that going forward, he would be assisting. He would, we would alternate. The days that I worked, he would teach. The days that I was off, I would teach. And we had balance. And I think that initially that is what was missing the first time, was the balance. And so once we established that, my homeschooling experience was dynamic. My older boy went to school, but my younger boy, he only did kindergarten in that first year, and then we pulled him out, and we noticed that they just weren't thriving as well as we thought they would. And boys are a different breed, and if you have boys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And we needed more reinforcement. We needed more one-on-one time, and they just weren't able to have that in the school setting. So when we decided again to homeschool as an entity, so now we have 4 children at home, different age brackets ranging from high school to middle school to junior high to kindergarten, grade school. It was different. However, we went back into it with more confidence, and we've maintained. We are still homeschoolers to this day. prior to the COVID-19 situation where some of you have been forced into it. For us, it is business per usual. And now we've moved forward, whereas my husband is the one who is exclusively homeschooling. And initially, I had a lot of anxiety about that because I'm thinking, okay, this guy, it's gonna be all on him. When I accepted my nurse manager position, the schedule didn't provide me with the leeway to be able to help him with that. He had to take that on, and he has done an exceptional job at educating our children to the manner that we know that they need, getting to learn their personalities, their learning styles, what curriculum fits them. We have purchased and spent tons of money on things to get it and to figure that it doesn't work. And then we have, piecemealed curriculum and not spent a lot of money on it, and it's worked. So if I could give any advice on if this is something that you were looking to do for the long run outside of the COVID-19 situation, learn your children's style of learning. Understand what type of learners they are. Understand that you have to go through a transition, and be okay and be gentle with yourself as you're going through that transition. Your children are at home, and the one-on-one that they get is going to nurture them. And when you have love behind what it is that you're doing, it is completely different than what they're getting at the school, right? 17, 15 kids, somebody who doesn't necessarily love and isn't attached to your child, does not necessarily have the, same and well-being in mind that you may have for them. It's just different. And like I said, I appreciate teachers and I value educators, and what they do is amazing. However, when it's your child, the drive that you have to ensure that they get what they need, it is beyond what anyone else can have for your child. So I'll close with this. It is definitely not for everyone. I think that, will we do this forever? Probably not. Know what works for your family dynamic and what doesn't. So have an open mind. If it's something that you're interested in, do your homework, right? Understand your way of teaching, your children's way of learning, and embrace it. I mean, the opportunities are just open and endless, and it does not have to look like what the school system looks like. We don't do school on Monday. We do school Tuesday through Friday. It took me 3 years to figure that out. We may go to the library and do school. We may do school at the park. Some days you just need a day off and you're like, we're not doing school today. So once you figure that out, I think you find your way, and it's a blessing. And so I just want to encourage any of the moms or dads out there that have this little curiosity with homeschool. Try it. You might figure out that it is an amazing thing that brings your family close. And for us, that's what it's been. It's been a complete blessing. I can't wait to get to a work life that accommodates me to go back and educate my children. I totally miss it. And I'm sure my husband needs a break. Nevertheless, he's doing amazing. I'm super proud of him. I'm super proud of my kids for all the work that they're putting in. And that's our homeschool life in a nutshell. Please let me know if you have questions or any other videos that you guys would like to see. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, peace.